Hey guys, Lieutenant Dan here, coming at you with a video on all the customizations that I've been working on for the past week, 2 weeks. I don't know, it's probably 2 weeks. Let me show you. All right guys, here's what I've been doing for the last couple weeks. I've been doing a lot of raping and pillaging of pieces from other games. I bought some pieces from other sites, as well as doing some magnetization and dipping my toes in a little crafting with some paint. All right, so let's start with the dice. So these are my hit dice. I bought a bunch of these blank wooden dice with rounded edges. I really like the rounded edges so that it rolls. I was noticing the flat square dice don't roll as well, and I wanted to limit the those who just drop the die down and the dice don't roll. So anyway, I bought these dice, and I borrowed a drill press from my buddy, and that allowed me to get consistent hole depths on all the markings for the hits. So once I got the proper depth there, I went ahead and made all the hits on 1 through 4, and then once I did that, I painted them up with the various colors, the white, red, blue, green, and the brown dots. So here's the colors that I used. This bear paint was a very dark brown paint I used initially as a sample, trying to figure out the color of my table. So it's like a Guinness brown. So it's really dark, but I thought and one thing about it is that it matches the borders of each of the territories. So it kind of brings that out in the whole theme of my table. So I like that aspect of it. The white is the heirloom white, and it's an off-white, and it's the same white that I use for spray painting all the way around for the IPC trackers, the R&D, and so on. And but it is an off-white. I like the contrast of the brown with the various colors that I selected. All right, then the red is colonial red. That too, I really love the brown and how it kind of brings out the various colors on the pieces here. That's the same color I used for the victory points where I made right here on the game table. All right, and then the blue is called Wildflower Blue, and it's a little bit darker than what other people were using for the French. I did try that color, but it was too it was just had a pastel look. I didn't like it, so I wanted to darken it up to match the red, and I think they complement each other really well. The green is called Eden. It's it's a kind of like a olive, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but that brown, that brown it just really looks good with all the pieces there. Anyway, and the whole color palette, I think just all the colors and the whole color scheme of my setup, I think it blends really well. I bought some special brushes to kind of dip my toes into the whole painting world, I bought this one brush to help me paint the dots on the die. All right, then if I come over here into the over here to the right, let's take a look at some other things I've done. So I wanted to get myself figuring out how to do the magnetization of my pieces. So for those of you who are new to my channel, I have a big piece of sheet metal underneath my map, and I wanted to have all my pieces magnetized because I have a couple cats that like to play the game while I'm resting in bed at night. So it definitely, I'm hoping that it will definitely help them taking the pieces and also moving them around. That is yet to be determined, but I started off with the Shapeways pieces that I bought a long time ago, and figured it was it's probably the easiest case, but since there wasn't much material to drill through, what I did was I just dropped some glue on the floor there, and then I put in the appropriate size with the appropriate pull strength to kind of keep it on the table there. And so I'm going to have multiple steps on my pieces. I'm going to ultimately paint them. So what I wanted to do is go ahead and get the drilling and magnetization of all the pieces done first before I start painting them. So anyway, once I found a good spot for these magnets on the air bases, then they snap down on the table really nice. I can kind of tilt them, they snap back. They really don't, it's really hard to tip them over unless I really get them over that tipping point. But anyway, they snap on that table really nice. Now the navel pieces, again, are from Shapeways. They're pretty easy, right? You just figure out where I wanted to stick them. No drilling involved, and just kind of jam some glue in there. And they're nice and flat with the bottom. And they too snap to the table really nice with nice resistance, kind of moving them around. All right, then I went into some other pieces that I bought at HBG. Now, originally I had these Convoy markers. They were the blue ones, and I did have those, and they looked really nice. I liked them. But when I put a magnet in them, and I used at that time super glue, some of the super glue oozed out onto the surface here, and it really discolored the surface, and it kind of clouded it up, and I couldn't get rid of it, and it really destroyed the look of it. And I guess it was for a good thing, because then when I found these orange ones, I thought, hey, you know what? These might look really cool on the table. And as you can see with my setup, it kind of glows, doesn't it? And I thought, you know what? That might be a good thing that, people are always forgetting to roll for convoys. And this might help in minimizing that. So I put drilled a hole in the bottom, and also drilled a hole on top, and I added that Lego flame that I had seen on Sire Blood as well as G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe has some wooden convoy markers. So basically I just did a search on Google for Lego flame, and there's a couple to choose from. And this one really looks nice. I like how it blends in with the piece. It's a nice little handle to kind of grab onto and move around, and the pieces really pop out. All right, and then you can see over here on the damage markers for the capital ships. they too really glow on my table with the LED lights. And, just pop a magnet on the bottom there. Throw them down. You can see, it really pops out on the table. I really like that. I used to use those orange poker chips, but I don't know. I like these. They really pop out, and it kind of, I think it looks pretty cool. All right, then you can see here I have this metal rock, or it is made out of metal, but it's kind of like, I don't know what it is, probably some iron ore or something like that, but I bought it from, I think it was HBG, and I use those for as 3D markers for the victory points for the BBR. So for the Caucasus and Ukraine and the Urals and Manchuria and Siberia, I wanted to start adding 3D pieces to signify the VP points. So these are my first ones here, but anyway, I just drilled a hole in the bottom there. I'm gonna buy some other ones for the other victory points, but I really like how they snap to the table. All right, then I got into trying to figure out for doing the military pieces. Now, I'm using the French because, well, as you know, the French aren't really used as much. So, if I screwed some pieces up, so be it. But I figured I'd do my tests on these. But the tanks are the most forgiving because there's a lot of material to drill, and you don't have much risk in drilling through the piece as you do on others. So this is a pretty easy piece to magnetize. I do like that, it really snaps on the table. And then on the ships, a little less forgiving because there's not much room for error. As you can see here, the magnet just fits properly with enough room there. You got to figure out best place to drill these, where there's enough material to drill into. As you can see here on this piece, there's a little bit of white where my thumb is. It kind of focuses, but anyway, that's where I kind of popped through with the drill bit. But hoping, I bought a drill press today, and I'm hoping that I can kind of eliminate or minimize the drill throughs on pieces. And then here's a transport, so get a little bit more forgiving, but not much. So you gotta really have a steady hand when you're drilling. But again, I'm hoping the new drill press that I bought on the cheap, got it at Harbor Freight for like $55, so that was pretty good. I didn't want to go back and ask my buddy to borrow his drill press again. My rule of thumb is that if I have to ask twice to borrow a tool, then I need to really go buy it. So that's that. All right, so then the last thing that I've been working on is these little markers here. So these arrow markers I got from Risk, and I really just kind of cannibalized the, as you can see, here's my hairy cat taking a look at things here. So anyway, but these arrows are from Risk, and I just kind of cannibalized that game. And I use these, I've been using them since January to identify red being for combat moves versus non-combat moves. And the reason why I needed those, being a new player to the game, is that I was finding it very overwhelming at times. If you're the German player versus the Japan player, you got a lot of things going on and you don't always remember things. So I wanted to have a way to, kind of tickle my brain on, oh yeah, I needed to move this for this and move that for that. And so I started using these risk arrows to do that. And I told Hambone, I met him back in the Cold Atlanta test play that we had going on at G.I. Joe's house. I told him I used those, and he started using them for a couple of videos that he created. And he was finding out that they were really hard to pick up. And one of his subscribers stated why don't you glue a couple together? And as you can see, I have black ones, or I spray painted some to be black, glued on the bottom of these, and I think it really makes it pop out. So I thought that was a great idea, so I went ahead and added that to my gameplay. But I also, of course, added some magnets. So now when I pop these down, they just snap to the table. A little bit of resistance there. She's not too happy about that, but she's just gonna have to live with it. Anyway, so I think it looks really cool. I think they pop out nice, as you can see here. My game setup, all the pieces kind of pop out really nice. All right, guys, so I'm gonna have to call this video a wrap, and I will be creating more in the future to show you other things that I'm working on. Until then, take care.